What did Rush used to say? How did Rush put it, right? Don't you doubt me. Don't you doubt me. Oh, I miss that guy. Rush the Great. Look at this, gang. This is today's headline from The Hill. We talked about this very thing yesterday. We are 24 hours ahead of the legacy media. They're playing catch up with this channel. Our little tiny channel, they're playing catch up. Now The Hill is reporting only now that Democrat Senate candidates are all distancing themselves from freaking Kamala. Let that hit you. If you're a Democrat Senate candidate right now in this nation, if you're a Democrat Senate candidate, the last person you want near you is your own party's candidate for the presidency. It actually gets worse. Bob Casey, the Democrat here in Pennsylvania, he's running commercials with his arms around Trump. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And it's not just Democrat candidates. A major liberal left-wing newspaper has just refused to endorse Kamala. The New York Times of the West has just refused to endorse Kamala. Gang, butter the popcorn. This is getting good. Greetings, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. I'm sorry, I'm already fired up here. It's me, a fired up Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Seriously, make sure you subscribe. You are not going to want to miss a single video leading up to November. It is my commitment to you each and every day to give you the single best election coverage out there. And I hope this video proves it to you. So here we are, gang. Yesterday, we covered the bombshell news coming from the Cook Political Report. They have officially moved the Pennsylvania Senate race from leans Democrat to now officially a toss-up. Pennsylvania, of course, involves the longtime incumbent Democrat Bob Casey. He's been senator in Pennsylvania for ever since I've been here. I've been here, 20 years or so, over 22 years. I think he's been here ever since I came here. It's up against him and the challenger, the Republican challenger, Dave McCormick. Dave McCormick is now either tied or taking the lead. And so as we reported yesterday, Casey has been avoiding Harris like the plague. In fact, I've seen his commercials here in Pennsylvania. He is aligning himself more and more with Trump. This is, it's literally like he's admitting that Trump is going to win Pennsylvania. So please vote Trump and me. Kamala cannot be seen anywhere near his commercials. It's hilarious. Yeah, and let alone Biden as well. He now sees Trump as the de facto winner of Pennsylvania. And he's ditched Kamala for Trump. You can't make this stuff up. He refuses. She did a campaign stop in Pennsylvania. He didn't come anywhere near it. And as I pointed out yesterday, to add insult to injury, it's not just Bob Casey. Sherrod Brown, the Democrat senator of Ohio, he won't even be associated with Kamala. And he, too, is running pro-Trump ads in Ohio. And perhaps most pathetic of all, the far ultra-left woke nut Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, even she is running pro-Trump trade ads in Wisconsin and completely distancing herself from Kamala. That will tell you what their internal polls are saying. That will tell you what their internal. But now, finally, the legacy media is reporting on it. The legacy media is actually we'll find out. The legacy media gave her a left-right. They gave her a combo today. So first, let's start with The Hill. The Hill is now admitting that Democrat senators up for re-election are doing everything they possibly can to distance themselves from Kamala. I'm sorry, I'm going to have a hard time getting through this without chuckling. She is now political poison. The joy is gone, gang. Remember, she was the single most popular politician on the planet. She was Obama 2.0. She was the second coming, man. It's 2008 all over again. And now these senators, these soulless Democrat senators, are trying to convince their constituents that they are the carbon copy of Donald Trump. You can't make this stuff up. And it's not just the senators who are throwing Kamala under the bus. I told you the media gave Kamala a 1-2 today, a left-right. Check this out. The Los Angeles Times, the LA Times, the New York Times of the West, they are refusing to endorse a presidential candidate this year. And given that they always endorse the Democrat, I believe they even endorsed Walter Mondale, if I recall, in 1984. Given that they always endorse the Democrat, this obviously means they are refusing to endorse Kamala. This is insane. First, the Teamsters. Now the LA Times. The far left woke LA Times is refusing to endorse the Democrat candidate. Let me translate that for you. The LA Times basically just said to Kamala, we refuse to go down with this sinking ship. We've seen your internal polling as well. Heck, we're seeing the public polling as well. We refuse to board this Hindenburg. This is, I mean, seriously, gang, this is yet another. It's not even in its own right. This is yet another major snub. And it further underscores just how bad Kamala is doing in the eyes of more and more establishment liberals. Forget how she's doing in the eyes of your average voter in the blue wall states, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Forget how she's doing in the eyes of your average voter in Virginia. This tells you everything you need to know of how she's doing in the eyes of more and more establishment liberals. What do you think Joe Scarborough's thinking right now? Old Joe Scarborough. Biden is added. This is the best Biden ever. He is cogent. Remember that? Cogent. Just hours before Biden imploded before the world. What do you think he's thinking now with the LA Times refusing to endorse Kamala? It's not hard to see why they're throwing Kamala under the bus, gang. We just had the latest national poll drop today. This one is from Redfield and Wilton Strategies. Take a look. They've never had Trump in front before. It's Trump +2. It's the first. If you are listening by way of our 20 million podcast downloads, forgive me. I tend to defer to the visuals here. It is Trump +2, 47-45. It is the first time they've ever had Trump in the national lead. In their previous poll, it was Harris +2. So we're seeing a 4-point swing over to Trump in a matter of just a couple of weeks. And this finding, of course, corresponds with what we covered yesterday, which was the findings of two of the most accurate pollsters of 2020. They both have Trump in the lead. And again, let that hit you, with the popular vote. Remember, he doesn't have to be in the lead in the popular vote. Hillary was in the lead. Hillary won the popular vote by 2.1. And Trump became the first Republican to win over 300 electoral votes in 30 years. Biden won the popular vote with 4.5%. And he only won in a combined of Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin, 40,000 votes. Trump doesn't have to win the popular vote. Now, it'd be nice if he does. Talk about a punctuation point at the end of this election. Talk about adding insult to injury. But the two most accurate pollsters of 2020, those show the same thing. Let's start with the TIPP, the TIP poll. Their last poll some days back was actually Harris +4. We've been talking about how the dam's been breaking and everything's been moving to Trump. Well, now it's Harris. Just 2 weeks before the big day, it's now Harris. I'm sorry, it is now Trump. Trump +2, 49 to 47. Now, that would be astonishing enough, but I noted yesterday that TIP picked up a similar collapse with Hillary back in 2016. So they do this daily tracking poll, just like Rasmussen. And they saw a noticeable drop in Hillary's support about 3 or 4 days from the election in 2016. So she was way ahead. She was up 6, 7, and all of a sudden they saw her going down 5, 4, 3, and eventually she hit 2.1. They are seeing a comparable collapse, even more dramatic drop for Kamala, but not 3 days before the election, not 4 or 5 days election, 2 weeks out, 2 weeks from the election. And it's not just TIP. The latest Atlas Intel that just dropped, I believe this is their final final poll. Atlas Intel, right? They came within what, 0.2, 0.3% of the popular vote total in 2020. Atlas Intel was the single most accurate pollster for the popular vote in 2020. They just dropped theirs. Trump, 3.1%. He's actually winning a majority, 50.7%. So rounded off 51% of the vote, 3.1%. So that's the polling. The polling does not look good, obviously, for Kamala. So you could see why so many Democrats would turn away from her. But it's the early voting that I think is really freaking them out. Actually, you know, we've got 3 indicators, right? We've got the polling, we've got the voter registration trends, and we've got the early voting. And it's very important to understand the early voting in light of the voter registration trends. That's an important thing to do because it doesn't look like Democrats are doing that. The voter registration trends are massively swinging to the Republicans. You guys all know what Scott Presler's been doing in Pennsylvania. 66 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties have all swung to the right. They flipped, I believe, 5 counties, Bucks County being one of them where I used to live. They flipped them from blue to red, a majority Republican. Republicans as a whole have effectively shifted the national electorate rightward by about 4 to 6 points. Now, given that Joe Biden only won by 4.5, that's gigantic, obviously. And it's very important for us to remember when we're analyzing early polling. Our good friend Rich Barris at the People's Pundit, he's been talking about this actually today. And he's been getting really upset because upset at Democrat analysts who don't seem to understand the significance of early voting in light of voter registration trends. One of the things that you'll be hearing a lot about over the next 2 weeks is what's called the Democrat firewall, their early vote firewall. So the Democrat firewall is the early vote advantage that they are able to normally accumulate going into Election Day. So traditionally, Democrats vote early and Republicans vote on Election Day for whatever reason. Republicans do their civic duty. They come out en masse on Election Day. And then the question is simply whether or not the Democrats amassed a large enough firewall to sustain the Republican onslaught on Election Day. We all saw in 2020 and 2022, Democrats amassed firewalls that sustained and overcame whatever was behind it. Got, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But they sustained and overcame the inordinately Republican electorate on Election Day. What's so astonishing about 2024 is that Democrats think Democrats are setting their sights significantly lower when it comes to their firewalls, particularly in Pennsylvania, interestingly enough. You have some Democrats who think you only need a 400,000 or maybe 500,000 vote firewall going into Election Day in Pennsylvania. And the argument is that, well, it's because the electorate itself won't be as big as it was in 2020, or that more Democrats will be coming out to vote on Election Day. Now, keep in mind, they had a 1.1 million vote firewall in 2020 in Pennsylvania. So a 400,000 or 500,000 firewall is a significant reduction from the firewall that ended up giving them only an 80,000 vote margin of victory in 2020. Here's the problem with that analysis. It's missing a fundamental element to it. It does not take into consideration voter registration trends. That's what makes this analysis so astonishingly ignorant. It does not take into account that Republicans have slashed in half, in particular, the Pennsylvania Democrat voter registration advantage that they had going into 2020. In other words, there are significantly less Democrats voting in 2024 than there were voting in 2020. At the same time, there were significantly more Republicans voting in 2024 than there were in 2020, which means that your firewall for 2024 actually has to be more than it was in 2020. Again, this isn't hard. It's just numbers. And even if you want to model out the turnout as slightly lower than the 2020 turnout, because, because there are less Democrats and more Republicans, your firewall has to be a larger percentage of that turnout than it was in 2020 when there were significantly more Democrats in that turnout. So once again, it looks like the Democrats are getting caught flat-footed. Again, we'll see how it fleshes out in the next 2 weeks, and certainly on election day. But the idea here is that they think they can go into election day 2024 in a significantly more Trumpian Republican electorate with less of a firewall as a percentage of the overall electorate. It just seems to me absolutely absurd. And again, we're already seeing it in the state of Florida. And I want to show a very interesting connection between Florida and Pennsylvania. The data analyst Seth Keshel is calling Florida an apocalypse for Democrats right now. The Democrats were able to muster a 7% advantage in their mail-in ballots back in 2020. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong data. Forgive me. They were able to manage a 7% advantage in their mail-in ballots for 2024. But that 7-point advantage is now collapsing now that in-person early voting has started. Just started the other day. It looks like it may even be as of now, because this was written, I think, 12:30 p.m. It looks like it's going to be a Republican +3 by mid-afternoon today. Now, this is actually important for both Pennsylvania and Michigan, because Pennsylvania and Michigan generally move in the same direction as Florida. There's several steps, I should say several. There are a few steps behind, but that's been the electoral pattern since, pretty much in every election since 1948, with the sole exception being 2020, of course. But again, I need to remind everyone, this is not 2020. This is not a 2020 electorate that's coming out. Don't forget that. Again, we're all very cautious, no question. We're all concerned about what could happen on election night. We're still traumatized by what happened on November 3rd. I got you. But November 3rd was foreshadowed by a whole host of other factors: a +5 Democrat electorate, an overwhelmingly early vote advantage for Democrats, what they call their firewall, right? In Pennsylvania alone, I mentioned it's 1.1 million vote advantage for Democrats going into November 3rd. And then, of course, Biden was up by double digits in all the polls. None of that is a factor right now. None of it. So the Republicans are absolutely crushing it in Florida. It looks like in the end of the day, they're going to probably be up, by double digits easily. They're already up, I believe, about 27 in-person early voting. So they're going to totally overwhelm the mail-in early voting lead that the Democrats accumulated, single-digit lead. And that pattern is to Florida does seem to be a bellwether for Pennsylvania. Remember, Pennsylvania is a little strange. It's unique in that 70% of the population votes on election day. Pennsylvania is an election day constituency. It's the exact opposite of Arizona. Over 80% of the electorate in Arizona votes early. Interestingly, now I don't know if they're voting from their winter homes in the East Coast. I don't know what, but the good news is that Pennsylvania is getting redder by the day. As of today, Republicans have once again out-requested Democrats in mail-in ballots. Republicans are at nearly, I guess, plus 13,000 ballot requests. Democrats are on 9,500. And in the mail-in returns, Republicans gained another 2.2 points in a single day. So this is just drip, drip, drip here of Republican advantage in the Keystone State. Again, they don't have the majority, but they don't need it. They just have to minimize that firewall so as to overwhelm them in a super Trumpy, super more Republican electorate on election day. So every day they're eating away more and more at that Democrat margin. So we could see why so many Democrat candidates and Democrat media outlets like the LA Times are distancing themselves from Kamala. But to make things even worse, finally, did you see this? Trump will now officially be going on the Joe Rogan show this Friday. I wasn't even able to get our producer a slide for that. But yes, you will see that. Go to X and you'll find that. This Friday may indeed be the single biggest podcast ever. You can see what this This is why Kamala did not want to start collapsing 2 weeks before Election Day. You got to understand, no one closes like Trump. This is what makes his candidacy unique. No one closes like Trump. Trump always closes strong. He did it in 2016. He did it in 2020. He's actually the strongest closer of any politician we've seen. Trump always closes strong. So this is only going to get worse if history is precedent here. I think Democrats are turning their backs on Kamala now. They're distancing from her now. I mean, again, if history is precedent, just watch what happens over the next 2 weeks. I can assure you we'll be watching. And I can also assure you the popcorn will most certainly be buttered. Natural disasters are the new reality, folks. From the Maui fires to record-level hurricanes, we're seeing catastrophic disasters take out entire towns in 24 hours with minimal warning, resulting in a lack of basic resources. Now, I get it. We're all wired to think it ain't going to happen here, right? And then in a blink, you're in survival mode. Being prepared in advance is your best defense against the unexpected. And clearly, we can't rely on our government. The wellness company's emergency kits completely remove the gatekeeper and subside panic by providing you with a personalized mini pharmacy in the convenience of your own home. Bacterial infections, staph, bite wounds, UTIs, strep throat, respiratory illnesses, you no longer have to be at the mercy of someone else to help you. You keep a fire extinguisher handy in case of a fire, right? Well, it's probably a good idea to have some basic medicines in a safe place in the event you need them. Same mindset, different product. Getting an emergency kit is fully digital, all from the convenience of your own couch. You fill out an intake form, a pharmacist reviews and approves it, then you receive the kits in 2 weeks. The medical board approved guidebook crafted by Dr. Peter McCullough tells you exactly what to do. This is preparedness simplified. Invest in your family's self-managed insurance plan. Click on the link below or go to twc.health/Turley. Use code Turley and save up to $60 off and get free shipping at checkout. Click on that link right now. The 2024 Pennsylvania general election is shaping up to be a showdown of immense proportions. As you know, the calculus here is simple. Win Pennsylvania, win the White House. It is literally that simple. In between now and Election Day, I'm going to be bringing you the breaking news from the ground of this key battleground state. And as you know, early voting is well underway in Pennsylvania. Activists like Scott Pressler have helped shift the entire state to the right through his ongoing voter registration efforts. Republicans have now out-registered 66 of Pennsylvania's 67 counties. At least 5 counties have flipped from blue to red as a result. And while Democrats are pouring money into campaigns, enlisting celebrity endorsements, all as legacy media outlets are bolstering their narrative, Pennsylvania is getting a secret weapon that appears to be outdoing the entire Democratic machine. 2 words: Elon Musk. Joining me today to help us think through the significance of Elon and Pennsylvania and the election as a whole is Angie Wong. Angie she had a successful career as a news editor, reporter, and columnist. Since she pivoted over to politics, she's worked on numerous political races at the local and federal level. And Angie she and I have been on some talk show panels together as well. So Angie, great to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Steve, for having me. This is the first time I'm on your show, so I'm super excited. And I loved your analysis of Pennsylvania, Florida, where I am. I've been watching the polls here very, very closely. Everything you say is completely spot on. I love the firewall analogy. I think that's great. I'm using that in my next clip somewhere. I'm just letting you know in advance.
We're crushing the We're crushing the firewall. It is funny because Democrats don't seem to recognize. They're like, oh, the electorate's not going to be as big as it was in 2020. So we don't need, this is how they're coping with their shrinking margins. We don't need as big of a firewall. Dude, Republican registrations are through the roof. You're going to need a bigger one. There's more Republicans, and Florida is a perfect symbol of at a real intense level of what's happening, it seems, as to the electorate as a whole.
I wish that were true. I do. I hope every single state is getting bright red like we are here in Florida. We were just talking off air that, Florida used to be a swing state. Remember 2000? That was the biggest swing state in the world. So now it's, we're not all the way, we're out of the purple territory. We're not even light pink. We're kind of hot pink at the moment. So we're really happy about that. What you're seeing, I think, across the nation, especially here in Florida, is rage voting. We are rage voting. Republicans, we've been waiting 4 years for this very day. It's here. So the lines are long. People are like having a party, waiting to, get their vote, waiting to get their I voted stickers. We couldn't wait. I pray that this kind of momentum sticks for the next 2 weeks. Then we're good. But I have a feeling these are very, very early days. And I'm afraid that the momentum might die midweek, because usually early voting is probably, it's like, watching paint dry. I mean, I don't know how many times you've done poll watching. I have. It's like, how many coffee breaks can you take during early election, right? So I do hope that this sustains itself. It's not just early momentum and it dies off after a while, because if that's the case, what did we just do? We just gave Democrats early numbers.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And cannibalize our own vote and the like. No. Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to ask you about Elon Musk, especially in relation to your public relations background and the like. From your perspective, so he's right here in our backyard. I was about to interview Cliff Maloney, who's doing the Pennsylvania chase. We're doing ballot chasing, and he called us up like 5 minutes before the interview. He's like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't make the interview. I'm getting to hang out with Elon Musk. We're like, what? That's insane.
Love.
What kind of effect do you think this massive figure like Elon Musk has on the swing state of Pennsylvania?
That's going to be proven. I mean, I wish I could, do a little PR spin on this and say, yeah, he's going to be amazing for PA. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll tell you right now, he does have the mechanisms. I do see that everything that Elon Musk does and his PAC, America PAC, is on the top of my feed. He's able to put that up there, right? So finally, we have that kind of echo chamber for the Republicans. Now, I think he's doing a fantastic job. And that's why Democrats brought out Mark Cuban. You need a billionaire versus a billionaire. And it's like, which billionaire do you trust more? Elon Musk, clearly, this is authentic to him. This is not just him being a surrogate or a mouthpiece for Donald Trump. He really feels it. He really wants it. And he knows that Donald Trump is the future. Because Donald Trump can think like that. Kamala Harris, I don't even know what she stands for still. And I have to take my eyelids open to actually watch her. I still don't really know what she stands for, other than, recycling Joe Biden's talking points. So, at the moment, I think Elon Musk, he's going to take the credit for it. I think it's a group effort. I think Elon Musk was the cherry on top.
Yeah, I love how you put that. That's a great segue. But before that, I don't know if you saw the video of Kamala doing one of her word salads with Liz Cheney. And Liz Cheney, you could just see she's just nodding off, and it looks like she's almost falling asleep. It's just like, with Kamala, I've never heard someone say what speaks so much yet says so little. I think that's the aphorism we'd use there. But what's so interesting, which you just said, is the Trump campaign seems to represent a team that's much larger than Trump himself. And I've heard one writer refer to our time today as brokenism. So in other words, our whole nation recognizes that our public institutions are broken. But we're reorganizing around two major factions in response to that. Brokenness believe things are broken beyond repair, and we need innovators from the outside to come in and fix it. And then on the other side, there's status quoists who continue to hope beyond hope that the establishment still has the resources to fix the problems that they create. And it seems clearly Elon and Vivek and RFK and Tulsi and so forth, they're all representatives of the brokenest coalition. And so they tend to be younger, and they're just breathing. They want to bring new life into Washington, D.C. and revivify it from the outside. What do you think?
Oh, I love it. You package that so well. Absolutely. We do need young blood in Washington if we're going to fix things. Because right now you have, I'm sorry to say, people that are way past their retirement age writing laws for my future and my kids' future. Yeah. You know, we passed a Section 230. I have to tell you, there's a lot of Congress members who didn't even understand the words on that bill because it is just so far into them. You still have congressional members that still print out their emails to read them and then have their staff respond to them. So, you know, you're writing those type of laws for my future. I don't need that. We are building cities now, new cities. We are planning for the future. We're here in Florida with Space Coast stretching all the way down to where I am in Miami. And I'm really proud to represent my district of Miami because we're going to make sure we're the next city. Right? Because we understand the stuff. Now we need the laws to actually pair up with some of the visions that we have. If we're going to be competitive in this world, if we're going to be competitive with Russia and China and slowly approaching Iran, we better have our own talent nurtured and financed, right? So we need all that infrastructure built in. We need new leadership. I'm glad Vivek is there. Tulsi Gabbard, I know very little bit about her other than she's pretty and she speaks well and she's a vet. And of course, Elon Musk, who's such a visionary. I mean, remember, he's giving these speeches in your hometown or near you, and then he's launching rocket ships at night.
And then having the rocket ships automatically come back to where they lifted off. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I heard somebody, I was reading an article, they argued that J.D. Vance is an embodiment of sort of this new population coalition that's forming, an embodiment of the blue collar, working class Appalachian with this new tech right that's rising because, he made his money with Peter Thiel and so forth. So he's able to actually embody this new brokenness coalition, as it were, in a way that I think even Trump can't, because Trump, of course, from New York, he has nothing to do with Appalachia, whereas JD does. JD had that amazing upbringing, and so he's able to blend together this. I guess I forget who put it, this aristopopulism, where you have a new elite, a new aristocracy rising. Every society has to have their elite, but they use their power and their influence to turn into reality the values, interests, and concerns of the people, as opposed to the elite that we have now that seems to so despise and disdain the values, interests, and concerns of the people.
J.D. Vance is a very interesting pick. And when he was chosen, I was scratching my head a little bit. Look, he is every man, every American embodied all in one with a pretty little, Yale degree that kind of polishes him up too.
Yeah.
I think he is. And same thing with Trump. These are the old JFK Democrats.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, wow.
This is like Camelot. This is all those, it's all the hopeful stuff, the futuristic stuff, all those things that you embodied when you think of what great men look and feel and vibe. Let's use Kamala's vibe. Okay. This is what I think about. And it makes me really, really excited because here is a reality that we don't talk a lot about, but it's just a few weeks away. Trump may get sentenced by a New York Manhattan court, right?
Mhm.
And we don't know it right now if the Supreme Court's going to step in. We pray and we hope that there is an appeal that goes in Trump's favor. But it's very, Trump might really need JD as a real surrogate in a very, very, Oval
So
Office type
fast.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all those questions that we still have, we're just trying to get Trump over the finish line. It looks right now to be really good. Still, man, Dr. Steve, 2 weeks is a long time in politics.
I know. You know that more than any. Well, give us. So we were talking before the interview about that very interesting sort of how Florida is a bit of a bellwether. It has been historically with, ironically, Pennsylvania. So Florida, wherever historically since 1948, wherever Florida tends to go politically, Pennsylvania seems to follow. It may take a little time, but it seems to follow. You're in Miami. I'm so excited. I did a video, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago about, I forget the title of it. It's something like how cities are turning right. There's been a number of studies and articles talking about how more and more cities in the United States are actually, ironically, going more and more Republican. But the number one city that they all flagged was yours, Miami. There's something's happening in the county as a whole, Miami-Dade. You guys are amazing. So tell us what's happening on the ground in Florida as a whole, perhaps Miami is specifically, to give us Pennsylvanians. I'm in the shadow. I'm in Delaware, but in the Delaware Valley here, give us some hope here of what would hopefully, if this same pattern holds, this bellwether pattern holds, may be our future as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, cities over the last 4 years has been mainly affected by the uprise in crime. And also, our police forces have been generally staying away from a lot of the crime because they've been battered by the rhetoric of the left. Cities are also being drained of resources at the moment because of, you have a lot of people coming in to our towns and taking up a lot of resources allocated to citizens like myself and my family. Instead, they're going to paying for free turkeys for illegal migrants. So, all those things are adding up, and now we're seeing the effects of it. That's why you're not just seeing Miami turning red, but you're also seeing parts of New York City turning red. Now, is it going to turn red this cycle? I don't think so. It's New York City, I think, is still D plus 14 the last time I checked. But ultimately, we are seeing we're at the front lines of what the last 4 years has done. We're the first ones to see it, and our insurance prices have jumped up so high because of all these extra costs. So I think, to give hope to other cities around the country, what I can say is this. I think people are waking up, and they're waking up to politics. A lot of the times you go and live in cities to build your life, to live a lifestyle. You're rarely even thinking about politics for the most part. You just want to go to the bar and you want to go hang out and you want to, do the city life thing. Now you have to really get involved because now your public schools are compromised, right? Your police force is compromised, and your insurance just went sky high to the point where you have to leave. And I hope that what I'm seeing as well is more and more new cities crop up. So with Miami, we have a huge Latino population, and that seems to be where everybody is focused on right now. Nancy Pelosi is in my district this morning, okay, trying to get out the Latino vote. Trump just gave a Hispanic roundtable at his golf course in Doral, Miami. And then Roger Stone's going to be here later on this evening. Wow. To I don't know what he's doing, but I guess he's getting out the vote. I'd like to think that's what he's doing. But that's what it is. You're bleeding Latinos. You have the Black community fleeing the Democrats because why? It's popular now to be Republican. In 2020, you didn't have that. And in 2016, you would have been hit, over the head with a baseball bat if you were wearing a red hat, right? So now we've removed the stigma of being, a Republican.
Yeah.
That's what Trump did. He made it fashionable. Right. And that you can't really take away for a little bit. It's still fun. It's young. It is.
I love how you say, because it is with him at McDonald's on Sunday. He's the one having fun. It's Kamala that's having these meltdowns. She's getting so angry and so forth. And I forget which legacy media outlet reported on it, but But it was an op-ed, and the fellow's argument was basically, sorry, Democrats, most Americans just don't buy that Trump's a fascist. You've made your argument. You've made your plea. Joe Scarborough's gone on his screeds. You've done it all. But most just don't buy it. They actually find him a pretty fun guy, and they think he's an innovator, and they certainly seem to trust him more with their future than with just the brokenism of Kamala.
Yeah, remember, Trump is from New York, and not only from New York, but Queens, where like something like 600 languages are spoken. I'm from Queens, New York. It's really difficult to be a racist if you're kind of brought up in that kind of environment. I'm just going to say that. Yeah, look, Trump's humor, I get it. It's a particular flavor, right? And it's kind of like a little retro at the same time. It's kind of like an 80s, star in that way. It's hard to get it, and I know it offends people. It took me a while, but once you get that it's like grandpa, right? Yeah. A little bit telling jokes. Then once you do that and you're like, yeah, but he actually has a really good heart, and he really wants to fix his country, and he knows he can't do it alone. So he's bring on the superpowers, the superheroes to help him. And that's what all these guys are. And, I'm excited. I think that, come January 20th, we're going to see some real changes in our country. I've heard excuses about this where he's going to be a lame duck president. No way. This guy, he's got a bone to pick. Yeah. He's got something to prove here, and he's going to get it done. So, awesome. 2 more weeks, man, it's been a long election.
Anyway, the solace I take is he's just such a good closer. Yeah, that's the solace I take. We'll see. You never know what the October surprises are going to be and all that.
Do you think there's going to be one? Do you still think there's time for one?
I'm still thinking. I think Kamala is the first self-inflicted October surprise. I really do. We'll see. I'm laughing past the graveyard on that one, but we'll see. I do not know right now. I mean, it seems a little late, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see, especially what's going on with the Israel, the leaks of the documents. I mean, there's clearly something I was expecting. Actually, I mean, I'm not advising Kamala, but if she needed a little help, I'm sure she's trying to hurry up a Middle East peace plan that would bring back a lot of the Jewish base that she's lost. But I don't know. Early voting has started in almost every single state. Yeah, it may be too late now. It may just be too late.
That's the way I feel. I feel it's like it's baked into the cake. And with the voter registration advantages, they keep saying, oh, but we'll show up. The Democrats will show up on election day. But look at the voter registration event. There's not enough. They're already there. It's Pennsylvania's registration deadline passed last night at midnight. I mean, it's over. It's done. The books are closed. So we'll see, but I'm cautiously optimistic, just in the sense that the electorate is a unique 2024 electorate that looks very Trumpy, very Republican. And again, it's being led by you guys in Florida. I don't know what you did right. I'm from Connecticut, so I was just above you, but I only made it as far down as Delaware, 20 minutes from Biden's basement. So I don't know what you did right to get all the way down to Miami.
You got to come down. You got to come down and join us. Look, this is a big party here. We're all super excited. I'm holding back my excitement because, as we said, these early momentums, these early voting. Right. And I see it because I went to the polls and I watched people like just go crazy voting. I loved it. But for 2 weeks straight, I don't know, we're giving data to the other side, and, they're going to motivate their votes. Look, they're launching in Atlanta today, a bus tour just to get out Black male voters.
Right.
So they're in full panic. They're throwing money where they never had to throw money before. And I'm talking the DNC. They went in 2022 when they lost 5 seats to Republicans. It's because they never thought they had to spend money in New York City, right? So now they decided, we got to throw millions, hundreds of millions into getting these seats back. And I think we were talking off air that Florida seats might actually save New York in Congress. Any seats that we lose in New York, and it looks like there's 3 that are really, really vulnerable, we might gain back in Florida.
Oh, that would be talk about revenge there. Oh, that would be so awesome. And it's just part of it is part of the sort of the red economy that's rising. It's just refugees are coming into Florida by the plane load, and they want to make Florida even more and more red. And we're seeing it in Texas. We're seeing it in Tennessee. People are so worried that as the refugees came in, they would bring their blue state politics. We're finding out, no, they don't want those that they would have stayed in the blue state politics. As a matter of fact, we're even getting some data that shows that the remnants of very, very left-wing woke mentalities are leaving states like Florida. They're leaving Tennessee. They're leaving Oklahoma. They can't stand it anymore. They don't see any future for themselves ideologically. And so it's, but I think for every one they gain, we gain two or something like that. It's absolutely incredible. Angie, where can people find you online?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me, I'm available on X, Elon Musk's, backyard, and you can follow me at Angie Wong, and just that. Yeah, no, I look forward to hearing from everyone. I love to hear your comments. Dr. Steve, you're a recent discovery to me. I don't know why we didn't meet before, but I loved your analysis. I really do, and I hope to follow you. And I still want a copy of your signed book there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We'll have to talk about that. Don't leave. I want to. You have to give me a PO box or so to send it to. I will send it to you. But absolutely, gang. Make sure you follow Angie Wong over at X, and don't forget to keep a close eye on Pennsylvania this November. Every day, we're going to try to give you some kind of update on the Keystone State, and hopefully, we're gonna do this. We're gonna take it all the way. God bless, gang. Gang, as you know, we look out for each other on this channel. Your safety and your security are our #1 priority. So if you haven't secured the deed to your home as of yet, you need to click on that link below right now and protect yourself and your loved ones. I was absolutely shocked when I found out how easy it is to access the deed to my house, and not just access it, but actually change it. The deed to your home is the only document that proves you own it. But the problem is that all our deeds are now online, and criminals are free to find your deed, forge your signature, refile as the new homeowner, take out tons of loans using your home's equity, and then they stick you with all the debt. But that's where our good friends over at Home Title Lock come in. Gang, they're simply amazing. Home Title Lock gives you the peace of mind that the deed to your home is absolutely and completely protected 24/7. Click on that link below right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks. Then all you got to do is enter your address for your no obligation home title scan to see if you've already been a victim of deed theft. It's a $100 value, absolutely totally free with my promo code TurleyTalks. Gang, don't wait for the worst to happen only to regret you didn't do something about it when you could have. Do what I've done. Do what countless patriots have done. Click on that link below right now and secure your home today.